There are moments in a man's life that split time into two. There is the world before that moment and the world after. For most of us, these moments are invisible to the outside world. They don't make a sound. There's no ambulance, no crowd, no flashing lights. The earthquake happens, but only inside one room, only inside one heart. He was 15 years old, and on a Tuesday night, in a small, cramped apartment on the edge of the city, his world ended, and a new one, a much harder one, began. His name was Alex, and this is not a story about luck. This is not a story about talent. This is a story about the kind of fire that is built in the absolute darkness, when there is no one left to call and nowhere left to fall. To understand the weight he carried, you have to understand the world he lost. It wasn't a world of money. It was a world of warmth. His father, a construction worker with calloused hands and a loud, genuine laugh, was the son their small family orbited around. He came home smelling of sweat and concrete, but he always had a joke. He always had a moment to ruffle Alex's hair, to check his homework, to tell him that a man's word was his only real currency. His mother, a quiet woman who worked part-time at a local bakery, was the moon. She was the calm, the stability. She stretched every dollar until it screamed, making sure there was always a warm meal, even if it was just rice and beans. They were poor, yes, but they were a fortress. Alex's room was a small alcove off the kitchen. His bed was a second-hand sofa that pulled out. But from that sofa, he could hear his parents talking at night. Their voices were a low, comforting hum. It was the sound of safety. It was the sound of home. Then came that Tuesday. The rain was relentless, a cold November rain that lashed against the windows. His father was working late, pouring a new foundation for a warehouse on the other side of town. His mother was at the bakery, preparing for the early morning rush. Alex was alone, doing his homework at the kitchen table, the only light coming from a small desk lamp. The knock on the door didn't sound like trouble at first. It was just a knock, 2 firm raps. He opened it to find 2 men in cheap suits, their faces pale and grim. Rain dripped from the brims of their hats. Behind them, he could see the red and blue lights of a police car reflecting off the wet pavement, silent and spinning. They asked for his mother. He said she wasn't home. They looked at each other, a silent communication that Alex would only understand years later. It was the look men give each other when they have to deliver news that will shatter a child's soul. The older one knelt down, his knees cracking in the quiet. "Son," he said, his voice raspy, "there's been an accident at the construction site." The world didn't just stop. It inverted. The air left his lungs, and the sound that filled his ears wasn't silence, but a high-pitched, screaming ring. He didn't cry. He just stood there, frozen, as the rain hammered down and the lights kept spinning. When his mother came home, an hour later, she found him still standing by the open door, soaked to the bone. The policemen were gone. He had sent them away. He didn't want them to tell her. He couldn't say the words. He just looked at her, and in his eyes, she saw the truth before he could even whisper it. The fortress fell that night. The days that followed were a blur of muted grief and practical horror. There was no life insurance. There was a small savings account, but it was quickly swallowed by funeral costs and back rent. The laughter that once filled the apartment was replaced by a crushing, suffocating silence. His mother, the moon, seemed to collapse into herself. She moved through the apartment like a ghost, her eyes dry but hollow. She tried to go back to the bakery, but the grief was a physical weight. After a month, she couldn't do it anymore. She couldn't get out of bed. Alex was still 15. He was a child. But children, in the dark, must become adults. He sat on the edge of her bed one morning, the first day of spring. The sun was cruel, streaming into the dim room and highlighting the dust motes dancing in the air. "Ma," he said, his voice cracking. He hadn't used that voice in weeks. "I'm going out." She didn't ask where. She just turned her head, her face a mask of exhaustion. "Be careful," she whispered, the same words she said when he went to school. But he wasn't going to school. He walked to the only place he knew, a strip mall on the main road, a pizza place, a laundromat, and a small, family-owned grocery store. He walked into the grocery store, the bell above the door jingling. The owner, a stout Greek man named Mr. Costas, was stacking cans of tomatoes. "Mr. Costas," Alex said, his voice firm. "I need a job." Mr. Costas looked at him. He knew the family. He knew about the father. He saw the boy's red-rimmed eyes and the new, sharp line of his jaw. He saw a child trying to be a man. "You're too young, kid," he said, not unkindly. "Labor laws." "I don't care about laws," Alex said. "I need money for rent. I'll work after school. I'll work weekends. I'll sweep. I'll stock. I'll clean the bathroom. I'll do anything. Please." There was a long pause. Mr. Costas saw something in the boy's eyes that wasn't desperation. It was a demand on life itself. It was the look of a young wolf that had been pushed out of the den too soon. "Okay," Mr. Costas said, sighing. $5 an hour, cash. You show up late once, you're out. You steal one grape, you're out." It wasn't a victory. It was a sentence. Alex nodded, shook the man's hand, and walked back out into the spring sunshine. He was now the man of the house. He was a sophomore in high school and the breadwinner. His new life was a brutal equation. School from 8 to 3, work from 4 to 10, homework from 11 to 1 in the morning, sleep for a few hours, then do it all over again. The pizza place next door became his dinner, the leftover slices the owner would occasionally slip him. The cold storage room in the back of the grocery store became his quiet place, a place to let the tears fall for 5 minutes before wiping his face and going back to the register. He watched his friends from a distance. He saw their posts online, their careless laughter at football games, their complaints about homework. He felt a strange, alien disconnect. Their problems were not his problems. His problem was keeping the electricity on. His problem was his mother, who was slowly fading into a shell of the woman she once was. One night, he came home from work, exhausted, his back aching from stocking cases of soda. The apartment was dark and cold. He found his mother at the kitchen table, a pile of bills spread out before her. She was crying, her shoulders shaking with silent sobs. "I can't, Alex," she whispered, not looking at him. "I can't do this. I can't look at these. I don't know how." He stood in the doorway, the weight of the world pressing down on him so hard he thought his bones would break. He walked over, gently took the bills from her hands, and stacked them neatly. He pulled out a chair and sat down across from her. "Okay, Ma," he said, his voice steady and calm, a voice he didn't know he possessed. "Let's do it together. This one is the electric. This one is the water. This one can wait another week." That night, he didn't do his homework. He sat with his mother until she finally went to bed, her hand in his. He paid the bills with the cash he had hidden in a shoe box under the sofa. He was 16 years old. High school became a game of survival. He was smart, naturally. His father had always told him he had a mind for numbers. But he couldn't compete. He couldn't stay after class for help. He couldn't afford the books for the AP classes. He sat in the back, his eyes heavy, his mind drifting to inventory sheets and delivery schedules. He remembers one specific moment. It was a career day assembly. A man in a tailored suit, a graduate of the school, came to talk about his success as an entrepreneur. He stood on the stage, smiling, telling them that if they worked hard, they could achieve anything. He talked about following your passion, about believing in yourself. Alex sat in the audience, his uniform, the only decent shirt he owned, frayed at the cuffs. He listened to the man talk about finding your why, and taking risks. And a cold, hard thought crystallized in his mind. My why is keeping my mother alive. My risk is not being able to pay the rent. He didn't feel inspired. He felt a profound, aching loneliness. The man on the stage was from another planet. He was from a world where you had the luxury to find yourself. Alex didn't have the luxury of a self. He was just a function, a provider. That night, walking home in the freezing rain, he had his first real moment of breaking. He stopped under a flickering street lamp. The water dripped down his face, mixing with the tears he could no longer hold back. He looked up at the black, empty sky. Why? He whispered, the word ripped from his throat. Why did you leave us? I can't do this. I'm not him. I'm not strong enough. He stood there, soaked, shivering, and utterly defeated. He waited for a sign. He waited for a feeling. He waited for his father's voice to echo from the sky, telling him it would be okay. There was nothing, just the wind and the rain. He had to walk the rest of the way home. And in that walk, a terrible, powerful truth settled into his bones. No one was coming to save them. There was no sign. There was no hidden help. There was only him. And if he broke, they both drowned. He got home, peeled off his wet clothes, and looked at his reflection in the bathroom mirror. He saw a boy with a man's eyes. Hard, tired, and empty. Okay, he said to his reflection. No one is coming, so I'll go. That was the turning point. Not a magical moment of inspiration. It was an acceptance of reality. He stopped waiting for the pain to go away. He stopped hoping for a break. He accepted that the world owed him nothing. And in that acceptance, he found a strange, cold kind of freedom. The pain didn't leave, but it stopped being an enemy. It became fuel. He graduated. Not with honors, but he graduated. He got his diploma, and his mother, finally emerging from her grief enough to sit in the audience, clapped with trembling hands. It was the first time he had seen her smile in 3 years. College was a fantasy. It was a door for other people. He needed to work full-time. He got a job at a local warehouse, a step up from the grocery store. It was mind-numbing work, stacking boxes on pallets, 8, 10, 12 hours a day. The work was so repetitive that his mind would drift. He started to think. He started to observe. He watched the way the warehouse operated. He saw the inefficiencies. He saw the wasted time, the wasted motion. He saw how the inventory system was a mess, how the drivers would wait for hours because the wrong pallets were loaded. He saw problems. One day, during a 15-minute break, he was sitting with an older guy named Sal. Sal was a lifer. He'd been there for 20 years. He was complaining, as always, about the new shift manager. This guy's an idiot, Sal said, chewing on a stale donut. We could do this route in half the time if they just moved the fast movers closer to the dock. But no, they gotta listen to some consultant who's never set foot on a loading dock in his life. Alex listened, and an idea, a tiny, fragile seed, planted itself in his mind. He saw the process not as a series of tasks, but as a puzzle. He started staying an extra 20 minutes after his shift, not to work, but to watch. He grabbed a discarded notebook and started sketching the warehouse floor. He noted where things were. He timed how long it took to get a pallet from the back corner to the truck. He did this for months. He never told anyone. It was his secret, his escape. While his body did the manual labor, his mind was building something else. One night, after a particularly chaotic shift, the warehouse manager was screaming at everyone. A truck had been delayed for 3 hours because of a mix-up. The manager, a stressed-out man named Mr. Davies, was pacing the floor, rubbing his temples. Alex took a breath. He walked over. Mr. Davies? Davies spun around, irritated. What, Lopez? I don't have time. I have an idea, Alex said, his heart hammering against his ribs. He pulled out his tattered, sweat-stained notebook. I've been observing. I think I know a way to reorganize the floor so that the top 20% of our products, the ones that move the most, are always within 50 feet of the loading bays. It could cut pick times by at least 15%. Davy stared at him. He looked at the kid with the tired eyes and the dirty hands. He took the notebook. He flipped through the pages. The sketches were rough, but the logic was clear. The data was meticulous. "Where'd you learn this?" Davies asked, his voice quieter. "Nowhere," Alex said. "I just watched." It wasn't an instant promotion. It wasn't a fairy tale. But Mr. Davies gave him a chance. He let him try his system on one small section of the warehouse. Within a month, that section's productivity was up by 22%. Alex was taken off the floor and given a new title, Junior Logistics Coordinator. His pay went up by $3 an hour. It was his first victory. It was small. It was quiet. But it was his. He went home that night and told his mother. For the first time in years, he saw a spark in her eyes. A spark of pride. He was 19 years old. He was no longer just surviving. He was learning. He devoured knowledge. He bought used books on business, on logistics, on entrepreneurship from thrift stores. He read them on his lunch breaks, on the bus, late at night when he couldn't sleep. He learned about supply chains, about lean manufacturing, about cash flow. He took free online courses from community colleges. His mind, starved for so long, was finally being fed. He climbed the ladder at the warehouse, slowly, methodically. Logistics coordinator, assistant warehouse manager. By the time he was 24, he was the warehouse manager. He was responsible for a team of 40 people and millions of dollars of inventory. But the seed that had been planted years ago, watching Sal complain about the shift manager, had grown into an oak. He saw the bigger picture now. He saw how his entire company was just one small link in a massive, often broken, chain. He saw how small businesses, the ones he used to work for, the Mr. Costases of the world, were being crushed by the big logistics companies. They couldn't get their products to market efficiently. They were paying too much. They were being ignored. He saw an opportunity to build a company that treated small and medium businesses the way he wished he had been treated, with respect, with attention, with solutions that actually worked. The idea was terrifying. It meant leaving the safety of a steady paycheck, the first real safety he had known since he was 15. It meant risking everything. He talked to his mother. She was older now, frail, but her spirit was back. She was the moon again, not a ghost. He sat her down in the same kitchen where he had once paid the bills as a child. "Ma," he said, "I want to start my own logistics company. It's a risk. If it fails, I could lose everything. Our savings, the house." She looked at him for a long time. She saw the little boy who had stood in the rain, frozen by grief. She saw the teenager who had worked in a cold storage room. She saw the man sitting before her now, his eyes not hard, but strong. They held the same fire she had seen in his father's eyes. "Alex," she said, her voice soft but clear, "your father used to say that a man's word was his currency. You gave me your word when you were 15 years old that you would take care of us. And you did. You did it with your hands, and you did it with your mind. If you believe in this, then I believe in you. We have nothing left to be afraid of. We've already survived the worst." He left his job the next week. He was 26 years old. He started his company in a small, rented office, a room not much bigger than his childhood bedroom. He had one beat-up desk, one computer, and a phone. His first client was a small bakery, the very same one his mother used to work at. He remembered the owner. He remembered the struggles. He offered him a better rate than the big guys, and a promise: when you call, a person will answer, and that person will know your name. For the first year, he was the company. He was the sales team, the logistics coordinator, the customer service rep, and the janitor. He worked 18-hour days. He slept on a futon in the office more nights than he cared to count. He made cold calls until his ears burned. He got 1,000 no's for every one yes. He lost money on some deals just to get the business. He made mistakes. He had nights where he sat alone in that tiny office, the weight of it all pressing down on him just like it had on that rainy night years ago. He would look at a picture of his father on his desk, the only one he had, a faded photo of him laughing, holding a hard hat, and he would ask himself the same question: am I strong enough? And just like before, there was no answer from the sky. But now, he had a different answer inside him. He had years of proof. He had the memory of 1,000 cold nights survived. He had the memory of his mother's smile. He had the memory of his own reflection in that bathroom mirror, telling himself that if no one was coming, he would go. He kept going. The second year, he hired his first employee, a kid just out of high school, looking for a chance. Alex saw himself in the kid's nervous eyes. He trained him, mentored him, paid him fairly. The third year, they moved to a bigger office. The fourth year, they got their own small warehouse. The moment of breakthrough didn't come with a fanfare. It came quietly on a Tuesday afternoon. He was in his office, a real office now with a window, when his assistant knocked. "Alex," she said, "you have a call on line 2. It's the CEO of a national retail chain. He wants to talk about outsourcing their regional distribution to us." Alex picked up the phone. He listened. He spoke. He answered questions with the confidence of someone who had lived and breathed every aspect of the business. He quoted prices based on a deep, personal knowledge of efficiency, not just a textbook model. A week later, they got the contract. It was the biggest deal in the company's history. It changed everything. That night, he didn't celebrate. He drove to the old neighborhood. He parked outside the small, cramped apartment where his story had begun. He got out of his car and just stood there, looking at the window of his old room, the room that was once an alcove off the kitchen. He thought of the boy who had slept on that sofa, the boy who had counted pennies, the boy who had cried in a cold storage room, the boy who had stood in the rain, begging the sky for a sign. He thought of all the silent pain, the years of exhaustion, the humiliation of being poor, the loneliness of carrying a weight no child should carry. And he thought of his father. He finally understood what his father had meant about a man's word being his currency. He had given his word to his mother when he was 15. He had given his word to his first client. He had given his word to every employee he had ever hired. And he had kept it, every single time. He wasn't a success because he was lucky. He wasn't a success because he was a genius. He was a success because he had learned, in the deepest part of his soul, that the only person who could save him was himself. And he had decided, 1,000 times over, to do just that. He looked up at the sky. It was a clear, starry night. Not the black, empty void he remembered from his youth. It was full of light. "Okay," he whispered to the sky, to his father, to the 15-year-old boy he used to be. "We made it. So here you are. Maybe you're listening to this in your car, or in your room, or on a walk at night. Maybe you feel like that 15-year-old boy. Maybe you feel like the weight of the world is on your shoulders. Maybe you feel unseen, unheard, and utterly alone. Listen to me carefully. No one is coming to save you. That is the most terrifying sentence you will ever hear. But it is also the most liberating, because when you accept that no one is coming, you stop waiting. You stop hoping for the phone to ring. You stop blaming your circumstances, your parents, the economy, the system. You look in the mirror and you see the one person who can change your life. The pain you feel right now, the rejection, the humiliation, the exhaustion, that is not your enemy. That is your fuel. Don't let it destroy you. Let it forge you. Every cold night you survive makes you stronger. Every no you hear makes you more determined. Every time you want to quit, but you don't, you are building the foundation of your own future. Alex didn't become successful because his story was easy. He became successful because his story was hard, and he walked through it anyway. He didn't have a mentor who appeared and gave him the secret. His mentor was necessity. His mentor was hunger. His mentor was the memory of his father's laugh and the sight of his mother's tears. You have your own mentors. They are your own struggles. They are your own silent tears. Learn from them. Let them teach you resilience. Let them teach you that you are capable of far more than you ever imagined. The world doesn't care about your excuses. It cares about what you build. So stop looking for a sign. Stop waiting for a savior. Go look in the mirror. That is your sign. That is your savior. If that 15-year-old boy, standing alone in the rain, can become the man who built an empire from nothing, then what is stopping you? The answer is nothing. Absolutely nothing. Your pain is your purpose. Your struggle is your story. Now go out there and write it. Write it in a way that, one day, someone will listen to your story and feel the same thing you're feeling right now. They'll feel that if you can do it, they can do it too. Go to work.